If you are a Sigma INFJ who has ever looked at Luna Lovegood and felt a strange, unsettling recognition, as though you were seeing yourself reflected in a character who should feel fictional but instead feels like the truest mirror you have ever found, this is your story. Luna Lovegood is not just beloved by Sigma INFJs, she is us. Every odd comment that lands wrong, every moment of being misunderstood while knowing you are right, every choice to remain soft in a world that punishes difference, she embodies it all. She walks through the Harry Potter series, draped in absurdity and magic, and somehow, impossibly, she is the sanest one there. The others call her loony. They hide her things. They laugh at her cork necklace and her spectra specs and her unshakable belief in creatures no one else can see. But Luna never flinches, never apologizes, never performs sanity for their comfort. She simply exists, radiant and whole, as though their confusion about her is not her responsibility to fix. This is the first reason we recognize ourselves in her: the refusal to translate our inner world into language that makes others comfortable. For the Sigma INFJ, existence is translation. We see the world in patterns, in symbols, in mythic threads that connect seemingly unrelated events into coherent meaning. But when we speak, others hear randomness, eccentricity, strangeness for its own sake. They do not understand that every tangential observation, every odd metaphor, every intuitive leap, is a thread in a vast web of meaning we are trying to share. Luna speaks about nargles infesting mistletoe and rackspurts floating through ears, and the Hogwarts students roll their eyes. But she is describing invisible forces that shape visible reality, much like the way we describe psychological patterns, shadow projections, and collective unconscious currents that move beneath the surface of social interaction. She is speaking in symbol because symbol is the only language precise enough for what she perceives. Carl Jung wrote that the symbol is the best possible expression for something essentially unknown. Luna understands this instinctively. She does not explain her cork necklace because an explanation would diminish it. The necklace keeps away nargles, yes, but it also serves as a talisman, a visible marker of her refusal to conform, a small act of daily resistance against a world that insists she should be ordinary. Every Sigma INFJ has their version of the cork necklace, the strange interest no one else shares, the observation that makes the room go quiet, the career path that looks eccentric on paper but feels like the only honest choice. We wear these things knowing they mark us as other, and we wear them anyway, because integrity matters more than belonging. The second reason Luna mirrors the Sigma INFJ experience is her relationship with loneliness. Not the loneliness of being alone, but the far more painful loneliness of being surrounded by people who cannot see you clearly. Luna has friends: Harry, Ron, Hermione, Neville, Ginny. But even they treat her as a kind of benign oddity, someone to be defended rather than truly understood. They love her, but they do not speak her language. They protect her from bullies, whilst simultaneously finding her beliefs amusing, quaint, harmless in their strangeness. This is the particular hell of the Sigma INFJ. To be loved for your oddness whilst your depth goes unrecognized. To have people praise your uniqueness whilst missing entirely the substance beneath it. To be surrounded by relationships that feel like translations of relationships, pale copies of the connection you know is possible, but rarely find. The Sigma INFJ operates outside traditional social hierarchies, not because we disdain them, but because we cannot find a place within them. We are not interested in climbing. Not driven by status or conventional markers of success. Our values are internal. Our integrity is non-negotiable, and our vision is stubbornly individual. This makes us powerful. It also makes us incomprehensible to people whose identity is shaped by group membership and social position. Luna demonstrates this perfectly during the Battle of Hogwarts. Whilst others are fighting for house pride or personal revenge or abstract ideals of good versus evil, Luna fights because her friends are in danger and she will not abandon them. Her motivation is relational and immediate, grounded in loyalty rather than ideology. She is not performing heroism. She is simply being herself, And her self includes fierce, uncomplicated love for the few people who matter. This is Sigma INFJ morality. We do not follow rules because they are rules. We do not adopt group values because the group holds them. We develop our own ethical framework through deep introspection, test it against lived experience, and then live by it with a stubbornness that baffles people who expect us to be swayed by consensus or authority. When others call this arrogance, they are missing the point entirely. It is not that we think we are better. It is that we cannot be other than what we are. The third reason Luna resonates so profoundly with Sigma INFJs is her radical acceptance of reality as it is, not as others insist it should be. She sees thestrals because she has witnessed death. She does not pretend the invisible does not exist, simply because most people cannot see it. When Harry struggles with the trauma of Cedric's death, Luna is the one who tells him she can see the thestrals too, and in that moment she offers him something no one else can. Not comfort exactly, but recognition. The acknowledgement that what he has experienced is real, visible, and undeniable, even though most of the school is walking past the carriages, seeing nothing but empty air. This is the gift the Sigma INFJ offers the world, though it is rarely recognized as a gift. We see what others cannot or will not see. The shadow in the room that everyone is politely ignoring. The pattern is repeating itself across generations. The invisible wound shapes someone's behavior. The unspoken tension is poisoning a relationship. We do not see these things because we are trying to be difficult or superior. We see them because our introverted intuition operates like Luna's thestral vision. It perceives what is actually there, regardless of whether consensus reality acknowledges it. Nietzsche wrote that there are no facts, only interpretations. Luna would disagree. For her, and for us, there are facts that exist outside interpretation. Thestrals are real whether you can see them or not. The resurrection stone brings back shadows of the dead, whether you believe in it or not. Nargles infest mistletoe, whether others mock the idea or not. This is not delusion. It is a distinct epistemology, one that prioritizes direct perception over collective agreement. The Sigma INFJ constantly lives in this tension. We know what we know, with a certainty that feels almost physical, cellular, and undeniable. However, we also know that expressing this awareness often results in being called naive, crazy, too intense, or too much. So we learn to be selective. We develop what Jung called a persona, a social mask, that enables us to navigate the world without constant friction. But unlike other types who might identify with their persona and forget it is a mask, the Sigma INFJ never forgets. We are always aware of the gap between what we present and who we truly are. This creates a peculiar kind of loneliness, the sense of performing humanity rather than simply being human. Luna never performs. This is perhaps her most radical quality, and the one that makes her such a powerful mirror for Sigma INFJs who are exhausted from a lifetime of translation. She does not modulate her strangeness to make others comfortable. She does not apologize for her beliefs, or soften her observations, or pretend to be less odd than she is. When her belongings are stolen and hidden by her Ravenclaw housemates, she does not rage or retaliate, or harden herself against further hurt. She acknowledges what happened and continues existing, unchanged. This is not passivity, it is something far more powerful. It is the refusal to let cruelty define her. The ability to absorb pain without becoming bitter. The choice to remain open, even when openness makes her vulnerable. Every Sigma INFJ knows this choice intimately. We have all been Luna, standing in front of people who are laughing at us, holding something they have deemed ridiculous. We have all had our ideas stolen, our depth dismissed, our intensity called too much. We have all faced the question of whether to harden or stay soft, whether to build walls or remain permeable, whether to protect ourselves by becoming less, or insist on remaining fully ourselves at whatever cost. Luna shows us it is possible to choose softness without becoming a victim, to remain strange without armoring against the world's confusion, to hold your truth lightly enough that others' disbelief cannot shatter it. This is not about being unaffected by cruelty. Luna feels the betrayal of her housemates. She acknowledges the loneliness. But she refuses to let it transform her into something she is not. She paints a mural of her friends on her bedroom ceiling, with golden chains linking their faces, a visual declaration that connection matters more than pride or self-protection. This is the Sigma INFJ paradox. We are fiercely independent, operating outside hierarchies, requiring vast amounts of solitude to process the overwhelming input of the world. However, we are also deeply relational, oriented toward meaningful connections, and capable of profound loyalty to the few people who earn our trust. We do not need many friends. We need the right friends, the ones who do not require translation. The ones who can hold the weight of our actual selves without flinching or trying to fix us or making us feel like we are too much. Luna finds this in Harry and Neville eventually, not because they fully understand her, but because they stop trying to make her make sense and simply accept her as she is. This is all the Sigma INFJ really wants. Not to be understood necessarily, but to be accepted without condition. To have our strangeness received as a gift, rather than a flaw. To exist without performing sanity for someone else's comfort. The fourth reason Luna is the Sigma INFJ mirror is her relationship with truth. She is incapable of lying, not because she is morally rigid, but because falsehood feels physically wrong to her. When she speaks, even when what she says sounds absurd, she is reporting her direct experience of reality. She is not exaggerating for effect, seeking attention, or trying to be provocative. She is simply describing what she perceives, in the language available to her, trusting that her perception has value even when no one else shares it. This is introverted intuition at its most pure. The Sigma INFJ does not choose to see patterns. We cannot not see them. They arrive unbidden, fully formed, with a certainty that bypasses rational analysis. We know things before we know how we know them. We predict outcomes that seem impossible until they happen. We read between lines that others insist are not there. And then, inevitably, we are proven right. But by then, everyone has moved on, and no one remembers that we tried to tell them months ago. Luna predicts that Harry will find what he needs in the room of requirement. She knows instinctively that Rowena Ravenclaw's diadem will be important. She understands the emotional truth beneath surface events in a way that appears magical but is actually the result of highly developed intuition, which allows her to read invisible data. The Sigma INFJ consistently operates in this manner. We are oracles in a world that has forgotten how to value prophecy. We see the shape of things before they solidify into form. And we are punished for it, over and over, by people who call our knowing arrogance, delusion, or lucky guessing. Until it happens. Until the pattern we predicted unfolds exactly as we said it would. And then it is too late, and we are left with the bitter satisfaction of being right about something we wish we had been wrong about. Luna demonstrates that it is possible to hold this knowing lightly. To speak truth without attachment to whether others believe you. To trust your perception without needing external validation. She does not argue when people dismiss her. She does not gather evidence, build cases, or try to prove herself. She simply continues to perceive, speak, and exist as a conduit for truths that are not yet ready to be heard. This is the Sigma INFJ as seer, as truth-teller, as the one who sees the invisible threads connecting present to future. It is a lonely role. An exhausting one. But it is also sacred. And Luna reminds us that it is possible to carry it with grace. The fifth, and perhaps deepest reason Luna is the Sigma INFJ archetype, is her relationship with death, loss, and the liminal spaces between worlds. She lost her mother young, in a magical experiment gone wrong. She lives with that absence as a quiet, permanent ache that shapes her without defining her. She sees thestrals because she has looked death in the face. She believes in an afterlife, in the possibility of reunion, not as wishful thinking, but as a kind of mystical knowing. She exists with one foot in this world, and one foot somewhere else, speaking to the invisible, trusting in realities that others call fantasy. Every Sigma INFJ understands this liminality. We are threshold creatures, standing between conscious and unconscious, between present and future, between what is said and what is meant. We live in the space between, reading the room's emotional weather, sensing undercurrents, perceiving the shadow everyone is trying to ignore. It makes us powerful mediators, gifted counselors, and natural psychologists. It also makes us exhausted, permeable, vulnerable to absorbing pain that is not ours to carry. Luna shows us how to inhabit this threshold space without losing ourselves in it. She feels deeply, perceives the invisible, holds space for grief, mystery and the unknown. But she does not drown in it. She does not become the pain she witnesses. She remains luminous, strange, impossibly whole, even as she acknowledges the darkness. This is the Sigma INFJ at our best. Able to descend into shadow without being consumed by it. Able to hold complexity without needing to resolve it into false simplicity. Able to stand in the liminal space and report back what we find there, trusting that someone, somewhere, will understand the value of what we bring. Jung called this the transcendent function, the ability to hold opposites in tension until a third, more harmonious thing emerges. Luna embodies this perfectly. She is both deeply strange and perfectly sane, both profoundly lonely and radiantly connected, both vulnerable and unshakable. She contains multitudes without fracturing. She is whole precisely because she refuses to cut away the parts of herself that do not fit. This is the invitation she extends to every Sigma INFJ who recognizes themselves in her. The permission to stop performing, to stop translating, to stop cutting away the strange, deep, intense parts of ourselves in a futile attempt to fit into spaces that were never designed for us. Luna shows us that it is possible to be fully ourselves, cork necklace and all, and not only survive but thrive. To find our people eventually, even if the search takes years. To remain soft without becoming weak. To see the invisible and speak the truth, trusting that our strangeness is not a flaw but a gift, not madness but clarity, not isolation but initiation into a way of being that most people will never understand. We should stop trying to explain. If you have felt the particular loneliness of being a Sigma INFJ, of seeing too much and feeling too deeply and knowing things you cannot prove, Luna is your proof that you are not alone. Not broken. Not too much, simply rare. Simply threshold creatures learning to inhabit our strangeness with the same unself-conscious grace she brings to every scene. The world will call you loony, long before it calls you a seer. Luna teaches us that this is not our problem to solve. Our responsibility is to keep seeing, keep speaking, keep painting our friends on the ceiling in golden chains. To trust that the things we perceive have value, even when we are the only ones perceiving them. To remain radically, impossibly, stubbornly ourselves. If this resonates with you, if you have ever felt like Luna walking through a world that insists you are mad, whilst you know you are simply seeing clearly, I would love to hear your story. What moment in your life made you realize you were a Sigma INFJ? What is your version of the cork necklace, the visible marker of your refusal to perform normalcy? Have you found your people yet, or are you still searching for them? Share your experience in the comments. You are not alone in this. There is a whole constellation of us out here, threshold creatures and truth-tellers, learning to trust our strangeness as a gift. And if you want to continue exploring what it means to be a Sigma INFJ, to understand the psychological and mythic depths of this rare identity, subscribe. This is just the beginning of the conversation. There is so much more to uncover together.